let's bring on a man who I always enjoy a good battle, and he's a Pro Bowler and a Super Bowl champ and a former Packer, and Aaron Sunday night. Greg Jennings, you are a straight shooter. So I said there's been some what-if guys in the last several years in sports. What if LeBron's first 7 years in Cleveland, they got him one All-Star? What if Andrew Luck wasn't under siege for his first 7 years? Now he's got support. Mm-hmm. What if Aaron Rodgers had Sean Payton or Belichick? He's one of those guys, deep down, you're as honest as anybody I bring on. You cannot tell me that Aaron Rodgers hasn't thought, what if, a couple of times.
We all think what if, but absolutely he's thought what if. No doubt in my mind that Aaron Rodgers has thought, man, if I had Belichick, I would have won. I don't know. I think it's limitless, really. It's one of those things where you look at, and I've heard this, well, Aaron Rodgers' personality wouldn't mesh with Belichick. I 100% disagree with that because I don't think he and Mike McCarthy's personalities just mesh.
Oh, no, I think they're opposites.
Because you got to understand, when Aaron Rodgers came into the league, when Tom Brady came into the league, they both came in with chips on their shoulder. Like, why? They both felt like they should have been drafted higher. They both felt more about themselves than what obviously the evaluators and the GMs thought. The thing about Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy that people miss sometimes, who was the number one overall pick the year Aaron Rodgers came out?
Alex Smith.
Who was his offensive coordinator?
Mike McCarthy.
So
Mike McCarthy
had something to do, obviously,
with selecting Alex over Aaron.
And so Aaron, I remember being in meetings, and it would just be so random. And Aaron will take a shot at Mike, like, "Oh yeah, like how you picked Alex Smith." Yeah, okay. like I mean, that's just so when you look at that relationship, and
it's always been
something
frosty.
That exactly. So, and I think Belichick, with Aaron understanding the respect that he would demand, he would give him that, and he would kind of pull back because of winning. You think Tom Brady doesn't have an ego? He does. You think he doesn't have he does, but winning will suppress some of those things. It's like, you know what? Let me fall back because we're going to win. I know if there's one thing I can trust this guy to do is win.
No, I think you bring up a great point, is that here's something I know about Aaron, and I don't know Aaron. I've met him. He cares what people think. So he does. Aaron,
you'll never get a chance to really sit down and meet Aaron.
No.
He doesn't like you.
He doesn't like me. That's okay. No, that's okay. A lot of people don't like me. It's okay.
He's not going to come on the couch.
No,
he's not coming on the show. He's not coming.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't like me. That's I'm totally. I'm really okay with it. I said this morning. He's great. I think he can be a little thin-skinned, a little Kevin Durant. When you get to be a superstar, you're not married, no kids. You go home by yourself in Green Bay. You turn on TV on your phone, and sometimes you can get conspiratorial. And I've noticed this in my business. I've noticed it in sports. Once you have kids, you're married, you're busy, you're off the phone. You just don't have time.
Yeah.
You're just busy as hell. So, and I think Aaron sometimes cooks up some stuff and worries too much about what people think. But he does care what people think, and I think that's not a terrible quality in human beings. And I think that has given him more than time to pause and think, God, what if? They've given him one great defense. It's the year he won the Super Bowl. They've given him no running game for 4 years.
Here's another thing that I think a lot of people miss. When you look at Mike McCarthy and Bill Belichick has been given the option, or not the option, but the authority to where he can make personnel decisions.
Yes.
Mike McCarthy, he's not making personnel decisions. So you have a different dynamic with both of those guys, and they've seen it differently because they've had to handle things differently. They've had to where Belichick can put the pieces he wants in place.
Yes.
McCarthy has never had that as an option.
You know, the other thing, and I'm guessing here, I don't have this sourced, but Aaron, and I don't. So is that now Aaron signed this huge deal. And Aaron, again, he is, and this is not a bad quality. It's the reality of being 35, a superstar in America, not married, no kids. you're watching more TV. You're on the phone probably a little more. Is that now that he signed a big a big contract?
It's basically a television contract. Keep going.
It is really in the NFL. So he signs this big contract, and we're all talking about the contract, and he goes out Sunday and loses, and you're like, well, Tom takes pay cuts. I mean, Aaron's the highest paid. Aaron doesn't need to win to prove me anything, but I do think Aaron senses if I start not winning my division with this contract, people are going to say we can't afford anybody because of Aaron's contract. It's not spoken about, but I think Aaron's too smart. He thinks about everything. Aaron thinks about everything. I think he's got that up there thinking, if I start finishing second and third in my division, my contract's going to become a topic.
Well, I think every player thinks like that. Anytime a guy gets paid, especially when they're the top at their position or the top in the league in this case, you don't want your play to drop and you don't want your overall team's performance to drop because you're going to take the blame regardless. It's going to be, look at Odell Beckham. Like he's having a good year.
Yeah.
But the Giants are poor and it's like, well, he's making all this money. Why aren't they better? Well, it's only so much he can do. It's in Aaron Rodgers' position at the quarterback position. It's a lot more that you could do. We've seen it with Flacco over in Baltimore where he decided, no, give back that Brinks truck up to me.
And by the way, they didn't have a tight end and a good receiver for 4 years after that.
And then they struggled.
Because they couldn't afford perimeter players.
They couldn't afford anybody.
So I just think it's something. All right, 2 topics here. I predicted before the season, I said, great television stars, Dick Vitale, Gruden, don't generally have the personalities to be great coaches. And, Gruden caught Tony Dungy's team. Barry Switzer caught Jimmy Johnson's. Ditka, Buddy Ryan. There are times when things line up. You win a Super Bowl. You write a book. You're a star. But to me, Gruden's a TV star. And that magnetic energy, I think, falls flat very quickly with players. I never bought into this Oakland thing. That's my takeaway. He's built for TV, actually. You watch Monday Night Football this year. They miss Gruden. That's not a shot at anybody. They miss him. I think he's more built for television, where I thought he was an amazing analyst. I don't think he's built for the new NFL. Why do you think he's struggling?
Well, when you look at TV, you have to be entertaining. You have to do something. You have to act. You have to portray this persona, perception. You have to be big. You have to be loud. You have to be obnoxious at times. You have to be unlikable. Like all these things. In the locker room, I don't want any of that. I want what's real. And what's real is not what we saw even in the snippet sit down that we saw with Howie Long, one of our own. Like, they're the haters. Like, what? If all these guys want to be here, if you're getting all these guys, the trade deadline when that was going on was still in effect. Like, you could still, let's go get them. Let's bring them in here. And I just don't see it. Last night, it just looked like, every time they showed him on the sideline, it just looked like he was in it by himself. Like, dude, you're by yourself. Even when Derek Carr would stand next to him, there was really no engagement. It was kind of like.
By the way, it's a very smart comment by you.
It was kind of like, okay.
That's what I said about Matt Patricia week 1. Matt Patricia may have been on a sideline. Matt Patricia was by himself.
Yes.
Belichick is talking to people.
Always
people. Last night, Jon Gruden was on an island.
It was like.
So if I can see that, if I see that, and you see that, what's the room like?
There is no way that you can tell me the players in that locker room trust Jon Gruden right now. If there is no trust, I'm not going to give you everything that I got. I can't, because I don't know if that's even going to be enough. Are you giving me everything that you got? Are you giving me what's real? You want me to pour all of me to you, but you're giving me this fake, phony substance. I don't want that. Like, just be who you are.
Finally, Hue Jackson. I defended him this morning. I was told by somebody I trust he did want Carson Wentz, and he did want Deshaun Watson. And he said that. Nobody wants to hear it. I said this last year. He wanted Carson Wentz, and he wouldn't go 0-16 without him, and he wouldn't have Baker Mayfield. So we're all crushing Hue today. And I'm not saying he's Belichick or Sean Payton. You just think he's bitter?
He's definitely bitter. He's definitely.
Have you ever been bitter?
Of course, I've been bitter. When things happen to you, and you get a microphone and a camera in your face, you're gonna say things that you emotionally, feelings, everything is gonna come out. When I left Green Bay,
You were bitter?
was I bitter? Absolutely, I was bitter. I wanted to stay. Hue Jackson wanted to still be coaching his team right now, but he's not. And so when I left, of course, now what I said, was it true? Absolutely, 100% truth. Should I have said it?
What did you say?
I said that Aaron Rodgers wasn't the leader that everybody thinks that he is.
Woo-wee.
He's sensitive.
Well, he is sensitive.
All these things that are true, but it wasn't the fact that it was true. It was, why are you saying it now? Because I would have never said it when I was in the locker room. If a reporter asked me a question about Aaron Rodgers, absolutely not. I would have deflected it. No, he's great, man. He's a great teammate.
But you were bitter.
I was bitter, and for more reasons, because I felt like other things had transpired I'm not gonna get into. Not today isn't the day. One of these days we're gonna sit right here and I'm just gonna share.
There's no day like today, Greg.
There is a day like today. We just haven't experienced it, Joy.
No time like the
Just
present.
saying.
I never knew you to be bitter. You're so likable and fun. I knew you when you were a Packer. I used to tell people all the time at the other place, I'm like, hey, you know, I years ago, Dilfer came on my show, and I told my former executives, I said, that guy's going to be a good broadcaster. And I interviewed you at a Super Bowl in some small room one time, and I'm like, dude, whenever that guy gets out of football, go hire him. Your career is in my hands.
Today.
Carrying you.
Do we have time?
Let's take a break. I want to hear your bitterness.
Yeah, no, we have time.
No, I have time.
Yeah, let's say, look, Joey. Like,
I'll just take a break.
Okay.
And then bitter Greg Jennings.
I'm not bitter anymore.
No, but you were bitter.
I was bitter.
Greg's being brutally honest this morning. He brought up a really interesting fact that Aaron Rodgers, McCarthy was on the San Francisco staff that picked Alex Smith over Aaron. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know this. Aaron took shots at him when you were in rooms. They were good-natured, but they were still shots.
Absolutely.
And you mentioned that you were bitter. And I said, I've known you for several years. I've never seen bitter Greg Jennings. Go back to your last year in Green Bay. Tell me the story.
So my last year in Green Bay, again, I'm contract year. I wanted to be in Green Bay.
You're a Pro Bowler.
I didn't want to leave. But our first game of the season, we're playing San Francisco, the 49ers, in Lambeau. And it's a timeout. Carlos Rodgers, corner, comes up to me. He's playing with the 49ers. He's like, man, what's going on, man? Why aren't they getting you the ball? Why they got you running these little simple routes? And I'm like, I don't know, man. You know how I go. When you contract year, you don't know what's going on. Aaron is right here. He's kind of listening to the conversation. He says, you guys should get him after this year. You guys should try to get him. I look like, what? Like, this is the first game of the season. And my guy is already pretty much passed me along. And you want to know why I said what I said, and you want to know why, and everyone wants to be like, Greg, he was bitter. He was done with me.
Time out. Have you ever said this before?
I've said this. I've never said it like this.
First of all, if somebody, you have every right, and again, I don't want this to be a bash Aaron, but listen, first of all, that an opposing player, because when I'm watching you, it reminds me how damn good you were. You were tall. You were really a great. You were a Pro Bowler, and all of a sudden you get to contract year. That a rival goes up and says, "Dude, you're running all these squirrely little routes. You got 4.45 speed. You're tall. You're a red zone target." And then Aaron says that. This is, of course,
that altered, like, I couldn't get over that. I mean, I had brought you into my fold. You know, my family, my kids, they like, and you just like, and then I started understanding, like, this is truly a business, and guys are selfish, and rightfully so. I mean, his deal was coming up the year after. Clay's was coming up in a couple years. I mean, Clay was the face of the defense. He's going to get his. I'm not the face of the offense. Aaron is. I mean,
so that last year,
it was just
that was in your mind every play.
Yeah, and so for me, like I remember talking to some of the coaches, and I'm like, dude, I'm not going to be here, man. Like I'm not going to be, because I didn't want to be somewhere where I was always questioning.
Of course,
that.
Of course,
like that was as much as we had done.
See, I don't think that's bitter.
Like that, it messed. Colin, it messed me up. Like I'm not. That disturbed me. So when I did leave, and on top of all of what I did already know, and how I did feel, like when you're in a relationship, you overlook a lot of things because you're in that relationship and you want that relationship to work. You want to give everything to it. And so you're willing to overlook every flaw, and every relationship has them. But when you're now out of that relationship, you either walk away and you're like, no, they're fine, they're great, you're on great terms, or you walk away and it's messy. And that's what happened. That's what started it for me. When my quarterback, the first game of the season,
your guy,
tells another guy, you guys should get him. Wait a minute, we should keep me. Like what? Like,
listen, I get it. Listen.
Like it bothers me to this day because it changed my whole mental.
Hey, I think that is. I tell people this all the time. Two things about pro athletes. Media people don't get this. Media people are so sensitive. The idea that my company would trade me for a weekend sportscaster and it wouldn't hurt my feelings. What if tomorrow Eric Shanks goes, listen, we like you, but we just traded you for 2 overnight guys and a secretary to be named later? I'd be like, I'm going to go jump off a bridge. Athletes get treated like car parts. And your careers are short to begin with. You get no choice on where you live.
No.
You are traded like an end table at a furniture store. So the idea that you're sensitive, well, hell, of course you're sensitive.
And whenever they do have some leverage and try and maneuver their own careers, like
we're the bad guys.
They're selfish.
Selfish, Greg Jennings.
Yeah, man.
Shame on you.
And so that's kind of what took place. So when I would hear things like, I remember Max Kellerman, Greg Jennings has an axe to grind with Aaron. You dang Skippy, I do. You know what? It has nothing to do with it's the fact that he said that. He didn't just say it to me in the privacy of our locker room he said it to me, to another guy on another roster, for basically saying, here, you can have him. Like, would you have a problem with that?
This is a very petty Friday, and I'm here for it.
This has been great. I love your honesty. You need to be. Man. You need to be supported and loved. But thank God you have a good family.
After saying all of that, I honestly, my end goal,
is to be a Packer in the Ring of Honor.
No, that's not it.
Okay, I got to go. I got 8 seconds.
I would love to be able to sit down and have a real conversation with Aaron.
So would I, but it's not going to happen.
That's kind of how I feel too.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.